This video is just going to provide an initial overview of the different areas of sports betting and how Football XG fits into this. So first, just want to go into that there are ultimately two types of people in the sports betting world. First, who bet just for fun and who want to add a bit more interest into whatever they are watching. They want to win, but not too concerned if they lose some money in the long run. And to be fair, as long as this is disposable income, absolutely no problem with that. The second type of people, potentially may have been in the first group to start with, are now at a stage where they genuinely want to make some money from sports betting. And if you fall into this second group, then please watch on. Okay, so we're going to quickly go into the different ways that people make money from football trading. This is not a fully exhaustive list, but does cover the main areas. The first area is matched betting, bonus arbing. Second, are betting, 3 tipsters, 4 market timing, and 5 value betting, which is predominantly where we fit in at Football XG. And I'll just quickly touch on these in turn. So match betting is ultimately where the bookmakers are offering free bets, bonuses. So these are usually the soft bookmakers like your Bet365, your Paddy Powers. And what you can do is you take those free bets and then you lay it off on the exchange and then lock in some guaranteed profits. And while this is all well and good, ultimately you'll eventually get some emails from the bookmakers saying, thank you for taking advantage of us, but we're no longer going to allow these offers for you. Here's one I got from William Hill back in 2016, similar from Betfair back in 2016, and ultimately received many more from every single bookmaker in the UK. As such, I now can get no bonuses or offers from any single bookmaker. Next part is arb betting. And this falls into 2 main categories. So one is where you're taking the best price across all outcomes, which is eliminating the bookmakers overround. So you may be taking the home price from one bookmaker, draw from another, and the away price from a different to eliminate the overround and lock in a small profit. Alternative is you're just betting at a soft bookmaker at a price that's greater than the exchange, where you can actually lay off the price on an exchange, assuming it covers the commission that you're paying at the exchange. Okay, this all sounds great, but the problem is lots of people are doing this. Opportunities can be hard to find and are often gone by the time you go to place your bet. But the biggest problem is that if you do this often enough, before you know it, the bookmakers are onto you, they've limited your account, and the max you can bet on any single outcome is usually a few pence or a few dollars, depending which country you're in, and ultimately your bookmaker accounts suddenly become useless. And that's ultimately what's happened to me with every single bookmaker I have. I can no longer get a stake on. So I wish I'd known about the risks of this long ago. Some people may tell you, yeah, the exchanges are great, you don't need soft bookmakers. But what they don't tell you is that, yes, the exchanges can be good as you get close to kickoff times or the off. But when you're trying to place early bets, which is what I try and do with Football XG, there is just minimal liquidity on the exchange. So one recommendation from this is try and protect your soft bookmaker accounts if you still have them. Again, this probably requires a second video, but to protect them, you kind of have to almost pretend that you're a dumb punter and don't know what you're doing by placing lots of mug bets in various areas, as well as taking advantage at certain points. Again, this may require a second video, but there are plenty of videos out there on this sort of information. 3, tipsters. Yes, tipsters. This probably requires a whole 40-minute video by itself. There are a lot of dodgy tipsters out there, as most of you probably know. Lots of false promises and lies. The biggest problem is that a tipster may be doing well for a little bit, everyone jumps on, and then suddenly they'll hit a bad run, everyone will lose lots of money, and then suddenly this tipster will disappear. And often tipsters have no transparency on their track records, or there's no real person behind it, and they just keep opening new tipster accounts just to milk some money. Or even worse, they may just be affiliates for bookmakers and their only incentive is to get you to sign up with bookmaker accounts and hope that you lose money so they profit on that. But that aside, there are actually some good, genuine tipsters out there. But even with the good tipsters, they're so good, become so popular, and it's just impossible to get on at the prices that they quote. So they'll say a price, you go to get on, and it's already moved 4 or 5 ticks. And in betting, price is absolutely everything. If you're not getting on at a good price, you will just lose money in the long run. So one thing on this, again, I won't go into any more detail. There's plenty of articles and things around tipsters, but I definitely recommend checking a few of the websites that actually do some tracking of tipsters, monitoring of their historical bets to just make sure that they are a genuine tipster and that you can actually get on at the prices being offered. Next thing I want to quickly go on to is market timing. So this is actually a good area where people can actually genuinely make some money, but it is very tough. So there can be various ways of doing this. So you could be one of these pre-game bettors who get hold of information before everyone else. For example, you may get some information on team news, and then let's just say a key striker is going to be injured. Let's say Arsenal, Aubameyang and Lacazette out, and you know that the price, once the market knows about this, the price will tumble. So if you get on early enough, you can actually make some good money by just backing at the current price and then laying off when the price falls. Or you could just be one of these people who don't have insider information, but you're just constantly on the button that as soon as this information comes out, you can see the market starting to move and you just get on that trend before everyone else does to make a few ticks. And the other area, very similar, is doing this in play as well. So this is where people react to kind of in-game stats or where there's big momentum changes in a match and you get on quickly before the prices start to reflect what's actually happening. This is an area I see people struggling with all the time because there's a lot of in-play trading stat sites out there now that will just flash up to say a certain team is like doing, I don't know, lots of shots on target or just behind by a goal and due to score any time. But the problem is they often don't take into account the price and whether the price is actually offering value. This is something we provide a bit of guidance on that I'll come on to shortly. And the third point just on this, there are people who are literally just staring at the screens, jumping in and out of the market and just following the weight of money just to take a few ticks here and there. This is usually done with watching the game at the same time, but some people are literally just looking at the moves and scalping a few ticks here and there. So for this, yes, if you do have access to the information, yes, if you do have access to really quick pictures, you can make some good money from this, but a lot of people just struggle as they get on far too late and the prices have already moved and then they get on at prices that are just not offering any value at all. And finally, number 5, value betting. And this is where we at Football XG are focusing all our time. And in 2 key areas. One is the pre-game, where across 30 different leagues, we assess every single game to come up with a prediction of what we think is going to be a fair price for that game. And then we try and get on as early as possible where we think there is genuine value, and then hopefully we can beat the closing prices. So I'm not saying we bet on every game, but we can get an initial assessment of where there appears value, and then we can dig deeper and before placing a bet. This is an example of one of the spreadsheets that we provide, and the columns on the right there highlight where there appears to be value in the current odds. Another tool we provide is an in-play trading tool. Within the spreadsheets themselves, there's lots of information on first half stats, second half stats, and lots of other information to give some guidance of when can be a good time to actually enter an in-play trade. But also what we have is this little in-play tool here that's shown on the screen that gives an estimate of what the fair price should be in play. So you simply just enter the current score, the minutes, and then what the starting odds are if you're focusing on the home draw away, or what the over 2.5 odds are if you're focusing on overs, and then it'll give you an estimate of what the fair price should be, and this is just based on historical data. So the example on the right shows that teams that are 1-0 up at home after 36 minutes, and the home odds are within 20% of 2.0. The home team goes on to win 74% of the time, which suggests the odds should be about 1.36. And then actually looking at the odds on Betfair, you can see that the home team for Birmingham in this case is exactly 1.36, which suggests the price is fair. So the draw, it looks like there is not much value in the draw, as the draw should be a bit higher, and it looks like there is a small bit of value in backing Derby. But that's predominantly due to Derby having a poor track record. When conceding first, they often go on to lose, which is probably why the price is a bit higher than that. This is what I'm trying to say, is that the in-play markets are getting more and more efficient every day. Historically, you'd just be able to see that there'd just be a general time decay, but now the in-play markets closely reflect what's actually happening in the game. So just to quickly go down the 5 again. So match betting, bonus obbing can be great to start out, but it can be very short-term focused, as often your bookmaker accounts will be closed. And then ultimately, a lot of people then use their friends and families, which is not strictly allowed in the terms and conditions. So ultimately, it's not going to be a long-term game. Similar with arb betting, I strongly recommend avoiding this, because your bookmaker accounts will just get closed down very quickly if all you're doing is taking prices better than the exchange. They've got lots of tracking software that will identify this. Third, tipsters. Again, a lot of bad tipsters out there, but also there are some good tipsters out there. But just make sure you do some research and make sure that the prices they give are actually achievable. Market timing. This is a great option if you can spend a lot of time in front of a computer and are familiar with how the markets move. So there's a lot of ebbing and flowing in the prices, and you can often scalp a few ticks here and there, especially if you have access to information before everyone else, or can get on before the rest of the market jumps on. Finally, value betting. So value betting is the focus of us here at footballxg.com. What we're trying to do is identify where there is value in the odds as early as possible, and so ultimately we can try and beat the closing price. And that should be your number one aim for all pre-game betting, is trying to beat the closing price. When I say closing price, I mean the closing price on Pinnacle, which is deemed the most accurate, fairest price of the event actually occurring. So if you're constantly beating the closing price, you will be profitable long term. And we'll have a subsequent video talking about this in more detail. Hopefully this provides information on the different types of ways you can profit from football trading. If you're interested to find out more information on what we offer at FootballXG, please visit our website at footballxg.com/members, or please follow us at Twitter at football_xg.